All right. Hi, guys. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here to another The Promised Land live stream. I'm Mitch Hudson. You guys have probably met me before on our other live streams that we've done, but I'm joined today by some very special guests, the people that we could not make this show without. I'm joined by two of our producers. With me, I have Richie Johns. Say hello, Richie.
Hey, everybody.
And I'm joined by Jeremy Crouch.
Hello.
How's it going, guys? Thank you for joining us for this live stream. We wanted
Yeah, of
to kind
course.
of bring you guys in and answer some questions that you all have after some of our announcements that we've done recently. We have some very exciting things happening. I know you guys have lots of questions, so we want to just go ahead and jump into it in just a second here. But first, I kind of want to give an opportunity to kind of talk about how did we do this together? Who are we? How do we know each other? Jeremy, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, sure. So Mitch and I, we went to film school together back at Liberty. We graduated together in the same class, and
That's
we've been
right.
working on a couple projects here and there, you know. And then I go back to school so every once in a while to help out with the new students as they learn how to, be in the film industry. And our associate producer, Sydney Jarm, who was a student at the time,
Mm-hmm.
she had her thesis was basically this idea. And
Mm-hmm.
she used that as her short film, and she showed it to me, and I thought this was amazing opportunity that we had to do. So from there, I approached Mitch, and I've known Mitchie. I've known Richie
You can call me
for about,
Mickey. Yeah.
yeah, Richie, yeah. But I've known Richie for about a year and a half before that, and then I also like hopped on the phone like, this is too good. You have to come help me with this. So that's how we kind of got the Avengers together, and
That's
how
right.
we started.
We
Yeah,
assembled. That's right. Yeah, Jeremy kind of saw the potential in this concept and then approached me about writing a show from this concept. Like, hey, can you make a pilot
right,
from this? What would be the pilot about? Where would the show go from there? We kind of got all linked up on that, and then we knew Richie as a producer. We were like, Richie has the chutzpah to get a lot of projects together. He produces and owns a studio with his wife. Richie, do you want to talk a little bit about you and about Studio 523?
Yeah. I'm the outlier. I didn't go to college with Mitch and Jeremy. We had just my wife and I would just move to Atlanta in 2021, and that's kind of like that summer was when Jeremy saw the initial vision for the project, and then brought all of us together. And so we were new to Atlanta, and then that fall was our first scout where we went out to New Mexico. So yeah, love the team building aspects. I double majored in college in Christian ministry and media production and film, and I didn't know it at the time, but that led me to producing. And so I love the pastoral aspects of bringing the team together. I love also the creative side, and I say I get to have the best seat in the house because I get to be involved in a little bit of everything and see the project from start to finish.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. No, and this is basically our dream team because we did not know what this would be when we first started. We had a lot of high hopes for it, but also too it was in many ways new for all of us. Right when we went and we made the pilot. I had never directed a TV show pilot before. I directed a couple things, a feature film that was really small, and a few short films that had gone into festivals, but nothing really intended to branch off into something larger, right? And so it was a very exciting thing for us to kind of learn basically as we went. We thankfully had a lot of good people to kind of learn from. My involvement with The Chosen was really helpful because I was able to kind of follow along and kind of learn from what The Chosen did as someone who was on from day one of that show and kind of see, okay, well, here's another project that started out kind of grassroots and grew into something much larger, much bigger. And then the other projects that Jeremy and Richie had been on, we kind of combined all of that collective knowledge together as we sort of fumbled our way into, all right, well, let's get the funding for the first episode, and then let's shoot the first episode, and then we'll edit it, release it, and hope that the world has interest in this. And thanks to you guys, you've shown that you do have interest. And that's why we're able to say that we are making more episodes very soon. Very excited to make another full, or the rest of the episodes are needed for the full season one. That's all coming soon. But I know you guys have more questions, more things you want to know about that. So we have some questions from you that we wanted to answer. So I think with the knowledge that we are making more episodes, let's go ahead and jump into answering some of those questions. Is production funded? Well, yeah. The good news is the answer to that is yes. We are
Yes.
funded. We are a go. Do you want to talk about how that came to be, Richie?
Yes, yeah, we are very excited that we are fully funded, and that's it's been a journey. I know Jeremy's been saying that in some meetings, just like the opening of the pilot. Yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah, it's been a journey, but
Same thing for
Yeah,
us.
it's been a
What
journey.
people,
It's been a
right?
journey. Yeah.
What people don't realize is how long we've been working to get here, and truthfully, it's all because of God that we are where we're at, because that was the goal, to do it independently, and we are able to do that thanks to our executive producer that's come onto the project, Brent McMinn. We are producing the full season 1 of The Promised Land independently, so we're fully financed. We've gone a little different route than The Chosen, so we haven't crowdfunded, but we have investors on board for the season 1, and we'll have more information about how you can support through other ways. But for season 1 specifically, we're not backed by a studio. We're not backed by any major network or anything like that. We are moving forward independently. And so that's great because we get to keep the team that we want, that we produce the pilot with, together. Mitch is in that showrunner seat, driving the creative, and then Jeremy and I are producing, and we have a great team surrounding us. So yeah, very excited to report that we are fully funded, but there are additional ways that you can support us. And it's also important to note that we wouldn't be here without the pilot release and the support that you guys have given us. It was our dream all along to show that there's an audience for this, and we stepped out in faith and put the pilot episode on YouTube actually before we were officially fully funded. Like, we had started our marketing campaign earlier this year before everything was finalized. And so we felt that, this was the resource that we had. We felt that we had this pilot and the world needed to see it. And because of the support and engagement and response from you, our audience, we are now fully funded independently. My AirPod just fell out. We are
Nice.
fully funded. We are fully funded independently and able to move forward with season 1.
That's right. Yeah. And just to kind of double down on what Richie just said about how we're doing it independently and how that's helpful for us. So the reason that we wanted to make this first season essentially without a clear distribution plan or without a studio producing us is because this show is very specific. If you guys have seen the pilot, obviously you know that it's funny, but it also is heartfelt. It's the content isn't a joke. The jokes are about people making mistakes, right? And people who are earnest about their faith in God, but also fallible and doing things wrong a lot. And I think for us, it was important that we could demonstrate what that would look like on a multi-episode scale, because I think with a larger studio involved right at the beginning, our fear was that the nature of the show might be influenced to change. And for us, it's so important that we keep the heart in the right place and the jokes in the right place, so that you guys get a show that you feel like you can watch without being worried that what you believe in is being made fun of, because that's clearly not our goal. Our goal is to make what we believe in more relatable and more relevant to us as modern day believers, trying to relate to an ancient historical religious text. So that's why for us it was super important that we got independent direct financing, just so that we can make the show the right way and continue that from there.
Yeah, and to tack on to that, it's definitely the harder route. We definitely took
For
a little bit
sure.
longer than most other shows try to get off the ground, but we do think this is the way that God's been leading us, and this is the way that, if we did go the studio route, we don't know if whoever picks it up, a distributor or a studio, don't know if they get it the same way that we get it. So it's really important to us that we found an investor that understood it the way we understood it and see the value in how we wanted to tell the story and not change it. So harder, but much better.
But more valuable for the show, for sure.
Yeah.
When will we have episode 2? It's a great question. So I think I can help answer this by kind of telling you what we're doing next and what season 1 is going to be. So season 1, the rest of season 1, we're going to film 5 more episodes. So that's what we're funded to do. That's what we're preparing to do. That's what we're gearing up for as we speak, is to film 5 more episodes. So not only will you get episode 2 soon, but you'll also get episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the show. So the pilot that is on YouTube still will stand as episode 1 of the show. You'll need to see that leading into the rest of the show, because episode 2 will take place basically right after it. It picks up more or less right after episode 1 leaves off. And then we'll shoot 5 more episodes. So in terms of when they will come out, we plan to go into production this fall. So we'll be filming this October and November in St. George, Utah. And then it's just really a matter of how long it takes us in post-production. But I can say, I think with some confidence, that you will see something next summer. Right, I think we can stand by next summer. Or what would you say, Jeremy and Richie?
Yeah, I believe so. Next summer should be a good,
potentially sooner.
Potentially,
depending on post production.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, really, honestly, here's going to be the determining factor of how soon you get it. Not only will it be finishing the post production, which will also include visual effects and some things that we will need to do to the footage that we film. But also what will influence when you see the episodes will be how we release them. And that's something that we have not determined just yet. That's something that we will be figuring out as we film. There's a chance that they will all just release online, kind of like the pilot did, but there's also a chance if during the process of filming we are able to get a relationship with one of the other streaming services or something that you guys have, then we'll put it potentially on that too. So we don't really know which exact route yet, but we hope that we'll have that sorted out so that you can see it as soon as possible. But I think the soonest you'll see it will probably be around the same time that the pilot released, but the year later, right? Is season 1 complete? No, not yet, but elements of season 1 are complete, and we are currently in the process of making season 1. So I can talk about my element of that, and I'll pass over to Richie and Jeremy to talk more about timeline and what is happening right now and what will be happening soon. So from my end, the scripts for season 1 have been written. I have the next 5; they're all ready to go. We chart the course from what you've seen in episode 1 into, all right, now Moses is trying to trust others with leadership. And so in that, there's a passage in the Bible that talks about how Moses, after Jethro's advice, he appoints people to be leaders of thousands, of hundreds, of 50s, and of 10s. And so Moses does that, in addition to also passing over more of a leadership role to Aaron and Miriam, which then sets them up for, they arrive at Mount Sinai, and now we're going to spend that first year with them basically at Mount Sinai as they try to figure out leadership together. And obviously, as we know from the scriptures, make some mistakes in that process. So those scripts are written. We have the next 5 ready to go. So now, before we can film it, there's a few things we have to get lined up. And I'll pass it to Richie and Jeremy to kind of talk about what are the next steps, what makes us ready, and what would the completion timeline for season 1 look like.
Jeremy, do you want to talk about where we're filming and then how we kind of found our home for the rest of season 1?
Yeah. So right now we're trying to lock down our locations, and how we found those locations actually. So we were talking, earlier with Mitch earlier this year. I'm like, okay, so when we do season 1, what are we looking for? And basically the answer was Red Rock. So we were looking for some places with red rocks, and literally I just went to Google Maps and looked for anything that had red in it, and then just zoomed in on that location. So that's how we found St. George. And we didn't know that Kevin Costner filmed Horizon over there. This was before that, so it was kind of like a coincidence. And we just, we were looking at some other place, but we just loved St. George. It had everything we needed. Looking for like a Mount Sinai. Spoiler. We're looking for like some little lake or river scene. So that's how we found it. So right now we're in the process of locking down those locations, and we're locking down locations. We're in the middle of crewing. We're in the middle of Mitch's right now is casting with his casting director.
That's right.
So that's the process that we're in right now. So it's all the little things that makes the show better that we're in production for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so our current timeline is right now, day one is actually October 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be shooting for 30 days
Mm-hmm.
and praying for no rain. So you
Yeah.
can add that
Yeah.
to your prayer list.
Please pray for us to
Um,
have no rain. It will destroy us.
Yeah, so October 1st is day one, and then we'll be wrapping on November 9th. And so right now, leading up to it, and that's October 1st, 2024 through November 9th, 24. This fall,
Right.
we'll be going into principal photography. And so
Mm-hmm.
leading up to that, just like Jeremy was saying, we're going through casting, locking in our crew, locations, everything from catering to vendors, travel agents, all of that fun stuff is falling on our plates right now. And so we'll be solidifying all of those details to get everybody on the ground here very shortly. In August, our first team members will be landing on the ground in St. George, getting everything in place for our production office. And then the crew will trickle in, and then we'll begin building costumes and building tents. And then all of our team will be working there to get everything ready for day one. And so
Yeah,
you'll be seeing lots of updates about that process all over our social media here on YouTube as well.
that's right.
And,
Yeah,
and, and another update you're going to see is us looking for background actors and extras to be in the show. So if you love to come support us, you love to be in the movie, be in the TV show, please come to St. George in October and early November and come hang out with us. We have
that's
some
right.
big days, so we'd love to see you guys.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, and so that's our kind of our production timeline. We go from here. We have the scripts written. We use those scripts to figure out everything that we need, right? So we take a look at the scripts and we say, okay, so we know we have a scene that is at a river. So we go to a place like St. George and we look around. And we try to find, okay, what is a place that believably looks like a river in the desert? You know, obviously, what's tricky about our show is that it takes place in the middle of a desert, which is hard to find in America. Thankfully, St. George has a lot of great places, but even in St. George, it's not like there's one big Sahara, whatever desert, you know, the Sinai Peninsula looking desert that we can just film in. Instead, there are kind of a multitude of pockets that will be kind of stitching together, right? We're going to film, all right, here are all the scenes that take place at Moses' tent. They're going to be over in this section of town, right? And then here's all the scenes that take place near where Joshua lives. And here's the bush that Jasisi lives behind. You know, all that stuff, we find that in and around the town during this process. And then as we are crewing up and as we're planning things out, Richie and Jeremy are going through and talking to the city to say, hey, can we film here on these dates? And that's a big part of this current process that we're in right now. And once all that gets locked in, then as the crew starts to land, we start to say, all right, we're going to film these scenes followed by these scenes. We make our schedule, we get all of that together, and then we jump into production. And after production, we have a few months of post-production, and that will include both me working with the editors to get the actual cut of the episodes done, and then once the the right cuts are in the right places, then it's a matter of getting, all right, we color it, we get the sound, we get the visual effects, we get all of those other elements done, so we can say, all right, now here are the completed episodes. But if you guys followed along from the filming of the pilot, you know that just completing the episode doesn't mean that it immediately becomes available to you, because then after that is where we figure out what is the best release. You know, we finished editing the pilot episode about a year before we actually released it to you. And that's, that was longer than it would normally take, but that was just us figuring out what is the absolute best strategy. And we'll have a lot of those conversations while we're filming too, so it shouldn't be quite as long. But there will be a little bit of time from the episodes are done to the episodes are available, and we'll keep you guys in the loop throughout all of that process so that you guys can know what date to put on your calendar and say that's the day that episode 2 comes out, and we'll make sure that you guys are the first to know. Yeah, so again, this is a tricky one to answer right now, because what's nice about this process is that we are discovering what is the best avenue for the show as we are making it. And so you guys who are watching it right now, you are basically with us as we figure out and determine what is going to happen with where the show goes. And I think the answer to where you can watch it, we will be having meetings. We will be meeting with a variety of different streaming services and different teams who release things in distribution groups. Our goal is going to be to put it out in a way that gets it to you the easiest, right? We want you to be able to see it, and we want you to be able to see it in a either a subscription service that you already have or one that you can get access to easily. Our goal is to get the biggest, widest audience possible. And so as we're going through these meetings, that will help us kind of determine what we choose and how it ends up getting to you. Do you guys have anything else to speak on for that, Rishi, Jeremy?
No, I'd say, like Mitch said, you guys are with us. And that's something that we still could use, your help with. The more people that you continue to show that pilot episode to, and then to pray for us as we have these conversations, because we want to ultimately have a home for the future of the Promised Land and have a place for people to be able to share it. And so, those conversations are currently happening. They will continue this fall while we're in production, and hopefully be solidified early next year, so that way we can get them out to you as soon as possible.
Right.
So unfortunately we can't specifically say, the Promised Land season 1 will be here, but we will know more of that information very soon, and we'll let you know as soon as we know.
That's right. And I want to emphasize something that you just said that I thought was really great, Richie, which is, as Richie mentioned, the more that you guys support the show, the more it actually helps us find that distribution. Like your viewership on our social media pages, on YouTube, the merch that you guys buy. It's not just, oh, great, I give them a like and that, that's nice. I tell them that I like it. That is true. We do get to see that you guys like it, which is great. But it also helps us in the process of finding distribution, because it shows whoever's going to partner with us, hey, look, people are engaging with this show. People are engaging with this pilot. Every piece of merch that you buy, every view, every time you tell your friend about it and then they watch it, that makes it more likely that we're going to get the biggest access with whatever our distribution plan ends up being. So really, the more that you guys participate, the better chance it is that you're going to be able to share it with anyone that you know who would like to see it.
It's been a journey. Welcome to the journey.
It's been a journey. Yeah. That's right. How can you support the show? This is a great question because there are a couple different ways that you can support the show. I'll talk about one of them, which is, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, but some of these things might be cut up in really separately. But one way that you can support the show is by just continuing what you're already doing and interacting with us on social media. It really helps every time that you engage with the content that we put out on social media or on the postings on YouTube. It's great when you guys watch it, but what even helps us more is when you comment on it. When you share it from there with friends, when you comment on it, it does some kind of weird things with the algorithm. I don't understand what it is, but I know that the more that you interact with a post, the more that it recommends it to other people, right? Like when you comment on something, then the algorithm inside social media, which I picture is just like, I don't know, this old wizard who's just like, they like this, let's go ahead and put it over here. When you interact with that thing, it's going to say, all right, this person liked this, so I think this other person across the country, across the world, might also like it because they like some similar things, right? So the more that you guys comment and engage with our posts on social media, and with the YouTube content as well, that will help just get the word out about the show. It really does work in that system, and it gets other people invested. And then the other thing to do is, again, it really does help us when you guys purchase from our merch store. You can think of it as being a way to say, hey, it's not just me buying a cool shirt, even though they are very cool. It's also a way of saying, every time that I buy something from the store, it gives the Promised Land team a little bit more ability to get the show out. It helps us market the show a little bit more. It helps us get more materials out. It all kind of feeds directly into the funding that we need to help release the show, right? We have direct financing for making the show, but we still need support and help with getting the show out there. And buying from the merch store and sharing around, that helps us do that. So we have a lot of different options available on the merch store. I'm wearing one of them.
We showing some merch options.
Yeah, we're showing some merch. I've got the Moses pocket tee on. The back of it looks like this. This is a different color. It's a blue jean.
Is this the Chasisi hat? This is what we're calling this.
Richie's got the Chasisi hat. That's the Chasisi blending in hat. My wife Maddie named all the hats on the store, so they're each for a different character, and they each have like a different thing about who that character is. Right? This I believe is the Aaron's leadership hat. Nice. And then which one do you have, Richie?
I don't know the names.
I think it's Moses' hat. I think that's like maybe the Moses hat.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. Multiple color options. This is kind of like a burnt orange.
That's right.
So we also have hopefully
the Bella and canvas with the logo on the front. It's extremely soft. If you guys are like me and you're extremely weird when it comes to texture and the feeling of clothes, like I am, I want you to know that I've tried on basically everything on the merch store and it feels good. So if I would wear it, I promise you that you're going to enjoy wearing it too. And really, it truly does make a big difference to us. Every time you buy something, it's like, okay, great. That's another little bit that we can use to get the show even further. You know what I mean? It makes, if you think of the show as like waves landing on the shore, right? Every purchase and every support of it helps our reach go a little bit further along that shore, right? So that's what we're trying to do, and that's what you guys can help us with by interacting with the show and purchasing from the merch store. But that's not the only way that you can gift to the show. There are also other avenues for you to support the show outside of that I'll leave Richie and Jeremy to speak to.
Yeah. One quick note about the merch. There's a lot on there currently, but we're also going to be having some more designs. So continue to, check social media, see, over the summer and later this fall of 24, like we're going to be having more designs and some other fun offerings on the store. And so continue to watch social media for all of those announcements and continue to check in for the store. We'll have a few different campaigns, especially going into the holidays, for ways that you can share with your family and friends, because like Mitch was saying, merch is a way for you to tell people about the show. Oh yeah, that's a great shirt. We're hoping to have some fun designs. But then it's an opportunity to share with people about the pilot episode that's free and accessible to everybody.
That's right. Yeah. And speaking of that too, like we love, I've had a couple people comment things that they would love to see on a shirt. And I think that's great. And you can find on our social media pages some of the clips of the show. And if the clip has like, okay, this is my favorite quote from the pilot episode, let us know. Hey, I want a shirt that says positivity headache. You know what I mean? I want a shirt that says we're going to die in this desert. Whatever it is, let us know. You can comment that on any of our posts that we've released. Yeah.
Like Mitch was saying, there's a variety of ways that you can also support the show. And like he was saying, every bit counts. You can use the analogy of the waves. I'd say more of another would be, our manna and quail, right? Like we're taking it a day at a time. It's like, what is our daily provision? Like right now, we've been given what we need to make the pilot episode, started with the pilot episode. That was a little bit that we were given. We trusted, we tried to be good stewards with that money. Now we've been given a little bit more for 5 more episodes, but we still have a lot to go. And we'll be talking later about what our plans are for, the full Promised Land franchise. But we still need a lot of support. Like there's a lot of different areas for marketing and otherwise that we could use your support. And so there's already some information that's been put out about how you can donate. And there's a link on our website that you can read more about that information. But there's a variety of ways that you can contribute financially to the success of the show as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And again, I know it's a little bit funky since it's not a fully crowdfunded project, right? So you might be wondering, like, well, when I give, what does that give to if they already have what they need for the season? And again, it's kind of like what Richie spoke about with us being an independent show. There's a lot of other costs that we accrue as a show that are separate from making the episodes. You know what I mean? Like when we make the episodes, that's one element of our budget. But it's not the only thing that we need to do as a company and as a TV show. There's also the release of it. There's also making more materials for you. There's also engagements. There's also press and appearances, and there's a lot of other things that we still need to pay for as a show that aren't directly linked to the episodes. And when you give, it helps us with all of those other things, and it sets us up for future seasons of the show as well. So when you give, you can kind of think to yourself, it's not necessarily just the specific season 1 episodes, it's the Promised Land as a whole. Everything that you give helps us continue as a franchise into the future.
And if we get enough, we'll make it to the Promised Land.
That's right. You really, and every merch store purchase helps us go visit the Sinai Peninsula, and you can come with us. This is a great question. So I think it's time to clear the air here and address something that's very important. I've noticed, and this is fair, but I've noticed a lot of like YouTube videos and a lot of commentaries about how, it's so cool that such and such character from The Chosen is in the Promised Land, right? People talk about Herodias from The Chosen. The same actress, Shireen Khan, plays Miriam in the Promised Land. And oh my goodness, the guy who plays Zebediah in The Chosen plays Korah in the Promised Land. But here's the thing. They started with us. The only person we had him first. There was Wasim Nomani had been already on The Chosen when we filmed the pilot. We filmed the pilot right after season 3 of The Chosen, and so Wasim was a regular. He was playing Yanni in the show. So when I saw his audition come in, I was like, oh my gosh, I know you. And we talked, and obviously he was perfect for the role, so we brought him on. But everyone else was a new find for the Promised Land. People like Shireen Khan and Majid Sayas and Brad Culver and Dav Palo Coretti. All those actors started on the Promised Land. And when I showed Dallas the kind of rough cut to get his opinion, to get his notes, he's been like a mentor for me for a few years, and so I wanted to know what he thought about it. And after he watched it, he was like, man, your cast is really good. Could I use some of them in The Chosen? And I was like, of course, because they're great actors and I want them to get more work. But then what's funny is, since season 4 of The Chosen released before the pilot episode of The Promised Land, it definitely looks like we stole them, but really they stole them from us. But no, you'll see a few of our Promised Land actors in The Chosen. So as I mentioned, obviously Wasim Nomani, who plays Moses, plays a Pharisee named Yanni in The Chosen. We have Shireen Khan, who plays Miriam in the Promised Land, plays Herodias in The Chosen. Majid Sayas, who plays Aaron, plays Jabez, which is Lazarus's lawyer in season 4 of The Chosen. Brad Culver, who plays Korah in our show, he plays a Pharisee, one of the new regulars starting in season 4 and continuing through season 5. He plays Zebediah in The Chosen. He's great in The Chosen. I really enjoy his work in that show. Let's see who else. And then Dav Palo Coretti, who plays Kasisi in our show, plays one of the Sadducees in season 4 who witnesses Lazarus's resurrection. And there's actually a really fun moment in season 4 of The Chosen where on screen there's a conversation between Jabez and the Sadducee, which is basically a conversation between Aaron and Kasisi, if you're watching. So if you go into it with that kind of lens, it's kind of fun to see, oh, look at them. They got back together there. And the fun thing about it is that since some of them met on the Promised Land, when they were then cast and worked on The Chosen, it was fun because I think anytime you join a new show, it can be a little bit intimidating because you don't know anybody, you don't know what to expect. But the nice thing was that a lot of our same crew transferred over between The Chosen and the Promised Land, and a lot of the same cast members. So people like Wasim and Brad, who play Moses and Korah, got really tight on The Chosen because as Pharisees, a lot of their scenes are together. And so there was a lot of times that they got to hang out with each other and do scenes together, and that's a lot of fun. And as we are going through casting right now for season 1 of The Promised Land, there have been a few people who have acted in The Chosen who have auditioned. So there may be more crossovers very soon. You'll have to wait and see.
So basically, if you want to be on The Chosen, you audition for The Promised Land.
That's right. Yeah. Think of the Promised Land as like the off-Broadway show that gets you on to the Broadway show that is The Chosen, until one day we become
Yeah.
Hamilton. But yeah. Great question. So, in terms of seasons, we don't have a strict plan in terms of how many seasons that we're doing. Because especially with this being a comedy show, and especially with kind of how we're launching the first season, our episode count per season may be different each season. But what I can tell you is that I want to do 40 episodes and a feature, right? If you guys have ever seen Community, it's fun. They always had that phrase that was 6 seasons in a movie, right? In a similar way, I want to do 40 episodes and a feature for our show. 40 is a big number that keeps recurring throughout the lives of the Israelites. Moses spends 40 days and 40 nights on the mountain. They spend 40 years in the desert, but they wish it was 40 days. And we want to make 40 episodes of our show. So 40 episodes and then a feature film that would go back and tell some of the origin story of these characters while they were still in Egypt. So keep supporting the show and we'll be able to make that feature film happen too. Can I be an extra on the show? All right, Jeremy, you want to give the people the good news?
Can I be an extra? Yes. All right. So please, so right now we're looking for people to come in to be an extra on the show, to come in to be background and be supporting the show that way. As I mentioned before, we'll be filming in St. George from October 1st, 2024 to November 9th, 2024. So if you're in the area, if you want to come in the area, we're trying to have like a big events. So that's a great way to support the show. Please be coming to the extra. We'd love to see you. We'd love to chat. And come hang out. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah. And I to add on to that too, like some of you know me from The Chosen. I work on The Chosen as the second AD, who's the person who directs the background actors on The Chosen, right? So if you guys are fans of The Chosen, especially if you've come out and been on set, I've probably met you, and in addition, you've probably either been there for some of our regular size days, which are already big, or some of our gigantic days, like when we have 5,000 background, or when we have 600 background, all of that. And especially for those of you who have done those days, the good news is you can bring the same costume you made for The Chosen, because it will actually help us, especially on those big days, for those of you who would like to come out and participate, to make your own costume, or to bring the costume that you've already made for some of those bigger days on The Chosen. We're not going to have thousands of background for these scenes, but every day we're going to have probably 20 or 30 or so background, and then especially on our weekend days when we shoot some of our bigger event scenes, if you will, which will include when the people are worshiping the golden calf and Moses finds them. It will include the opening of the tabernacle. It will include some of the big scenes where Moses makes a proclamation to all of the people. All of those scenes we're going to need as many people as possible for, and you can bring the clothes that you've made from home, and we can teach you guys how to do that. If you keep following along, we'll be able to release something like that. And the best way for us to get that instructional video of how to make costumes to you is actually for us to email it to you. So if you are on the email list, we're going to give you the special instructions, the special kind of inside knowledge into, if you don't already have a costume, how to make your own. You can get on our email list by going to the Promised Land website, which is thepromisedlandseries.tv. You go to that website, you can get on our email list, you can get all the updates and basically be on our Christmas card list. And then in addition, we will also tell you, hey, you want to be a background actor? Here's how, and here's what you can do, and here's what dates, and we can figure that out with you. You don't just have to come out on the big event background days. You can also come out if you're like, hey, you know what? I want to take a week. I want to go to St. George, Utah, be a background sometimes, and also go to Zion National Park. Well, boy, do we have the experience for you. But for real, you guys can come out and do that, and you can be there as many times. You can be there all 30 days if you wanted to, but just let us know. And the best way to stay in communication with us about that is to be on the email list. We'll also be making posts on our social media, but if you want kind of direct access, get on our email list and we will keep you up to date on how and when and what it will look like to be a background actor on season 1.
Yeah. and we'll be releasing more information as soon as we know. Part of the
Mm-hmm.
reason we can't release that right now is we're not there yet. That's the reason we're not
Right.
all together. Most of the Promised Land work, Jeremy, Mitch, and I've never actually been in the same place together. We all live in Atlanta, but
It's
we're
true.
never actually all here.
Never home.
It's
Yeah.
always
But
this. It's always this. It's
yeah,
over,
It's
over
always
the over
this.
the
I don't
phone.
know these guys
yeah,
in a non-digital fashion.
yeah.
Yeah.
So once we all three get on the ground in St. George, Utah, we will be releasing all the information for where to stay, local restaurants that you can eat at, like Mitch mentioned, costumes that you can bring already, and then what days. We are already planning and doing everything on our part to make it as accessible and easy for you to come out to Utah. Part of that is we're filming actually over a Tuesday through Saturday schedule, which is sometimes common in indie film production. And so we'll be filming over, come out over a long weekend, come into town. We're partnering with the tourism division there called Greater Zion, and they've been opening a lot of doors for us coming into the film community, but also partnering with local restaurants and then hotels to make it as affordable as possible for you to come out and be a part of the Promised Land. So people have asked, is there going to be a Promised Land Con? We're not, but this is the closest we can get, at least for season one, for you
Yeah.
to come out, experience the Promised Land, feel what it was like to wander in the desert for 40 years. So come on out.
That's
More
right.
information will be coming soon.
Will
Nope.
we see any
Same
new
seven the
characters
whole
in
time.
season one? Yeah, that is.
No more, no more.
Yeah, the good news is yes to that. We will still continue with the characters that you've gotten to know from the pilot episode, but we will definitely be introducing some new characters. And if you want to know who those new characters are, take a look at Exodus. You're going to see some names mentioned. You're going to see some new characters who come into the fold, and those will be the characters that we will start to emphasize as the show goes on.
Mitch, what's it like having a character that has like one line about them? And because there's quite a few, right? Like that are mentioned once
Yeah.
or twice in scripture,
True,
and
yeah.
they're a regular now, right?
Right. Yeah. No. That's a great question. Yeah. It is interesting because I work off whatever I can find in the Bible. Right. Like I do reference other sources, scholars who have written about the first 5 books of the Bible and kind of historical narratives about all that. But I really try to focus the most on what is on the page in the Bible. I try to use that as like 90 to 95% of what I'm referencing when I come to the writing of the show. And it's definitely challenging because some characters, as I'm trying to build them out as a character, some characters get 1 or 2 mentions. You know what I mean? Like Korah really is not mentioned much outside of the famous story of Korah's rebellion against Moses, which is something that we'll get to in the show. Miriam is mentioned 3 times maybe in the Bible. She's mentioned as someone who plays a tambourine. She's mentioned as Moses'
What
older
about Moses'
sister.
kids? Moses'
She's
kids?
mentioned, yeah. Moses' kids are mentioned more
I
than
don't know where
they've
they are.
seen in the show, but we just don't know where they are. That's the problem. Yeah, we're trying to find them. Yeah, a lot of these characters have very, very brief mentions, and so it's really trying to use context as much as possible to build who they are as a character. You know what I mean? Zipporah, Moses' wife, for instance, isn't mentioned that often in the scriptures, but from what we know, she was fiercely loyal to Moses because there's a story, the famous kind of, they mention it in the pilot, but the story of how Zipporah touched their firstborn's foreskin to Moses' foot and called him a bridegroom of blood to save him from the Lord killing him is kind of a very extreme story. But you see that and you're like, okay, Zipporah did whatever she could to protect Moses. You know what I mean? Like, and so you kind of get this feeling of they have a good relationship. And there's also a story later about Miriam having a conflict with Moses about Moses' wife. And it, unlike many other stories, it wasn't that Moses' wife was the problem in that story. It was actually Miriam and Aaron who were in the wrong, and God reacts to them in that kind of a way. So there's like tiny little clues that I try to stitch together to know, okay, from this and this, I can see, one, Moses and Zipporah are close enough that other things would be changed and altered by the fact that their relationship is strong. and then two, that's about all we really know about her. So then I was kind of able to take a look and say, okay, well, I know what Miriam is going to be like based off what I've seen about her in scriptures and the way that it's written and how, she's a leader in the camp, but she's also someone who does speak her mind about things that she doesn't like, as evidenced by that story where Miriam goes to Moses and Aaron about her issues with Moses' wife. I saw that and I was like, okay, Miriam is someone who speaks her mind, but she's also a woman in a time period where women weren't really considered leaders, especially in a lot of these cultures. So I kind of take that and try to build off of that. So it's a challenge, but it's fun, and then I can use what I know about some characters to mold other characters, all right? If I know what Miriam is going to be like, then I know, all right, if Miriam and Zipporah are going to be together, they need to be different from each other. And that's what leads to Zipporah being, almost the opposite of Miriam. Miriam is kind of more reserved and more not willing to be expressive in her personal life, even though she loves music. And then you have Zipporah who comes in, and she is expressive in her personal life. And she's, she wears all these jangly things. She makes noise as she moves around. She's basically music as a character, which is the thing that Miriam is supposed to love. But because it's so different from Miriam's personality, they kind of butt heads sometimes. And that's kind of the process I take into writing all of the characters. And so the new characters that are coming into this season have the same approach, and I use the same little tidbits of what I have in the scriptures to try to build interesting, funny, hopefully very relatable characters that you guys will see soon. Ooh. Well, so Rishi and Jeremy have read the scripts for this new season. I'll let them answer first. What are you guys the most excited to see?
Yeah, I'm good.
Do we have any spoilers?
I wouldn't say keep it light if it's new stuff. If it's in the Bible, you can talk about it.
Yeah. Man.
My favorite. I'll be general. So my favorite, there's a section. I won't say who, but it involves something that's in the Bible. So obviously, it involves the golden calf. But one of the characters ultimately is wrestling with this idea of not being worthy. And there's this scene where two characters sit down and they really hammer out that issue. And I mean, one of those is Moses speaking into. I won't say who this other character is. I'll leave that as a general. But like this whole idea of not being worthy for what God has called you to, and that when I first heard that idea and then the way Mitch executed it in the scripts, that is by far one of my favorite moments for season one. I'm so excited to see it on the day, and I will for sure. I'll float around between the production office and set, but I'm going to be there when that's shot because I'm very much looking forward to that idea, and that I think that's something that so many people will be able to relate to. Obviously, that's the point of doing the show in this format, is you get to see these characters in a way that it's not just a hero of the faith up on a stained glass window. These are people that you can relate with, and that's something that I think almost everybody can feel with, that idea of not being qualified, not deserving of the place that you're in sometimes, that ultimately it's this idea that you wrestle with of like, am I even worthy to be doing this right now? And it's actually kind of a great segue to how the finale ends. So, but I won't say any more. But that's what I'm most looking forward to.
Nice. How about you, Jeremy?
I have three. Is that okay? I got three. I can't really pick one.
Hit it. Yeah,
I'll be general.
As long as they're like Bible moments, don't spoil any jokes or any fun new stuff that we're throwing into.
Okay, so the first one that I'm really looking forward to is when as Mitch mentioned before, Moses is delegating more, and Miriam, Zipporah, and Aaron are taking more leadership roles, but Joshua isn't yet. And Joshua has a very fun thing that happened in the episode too, so that's what I'm really excited for. I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
There's a time when Moses gives the laws to the people, and I think that's really really a fun time, as well, with some shenanigans. And then the finale. The finale, I think, is going to be the best. Like, it's the reason why we all did this. Like, it's all fun and games, but there's some heart to it. And the finale is just the encompass of everything that we've been trying to do and what we've been trying to do, like put together for 3 years. and I can't wait to film it. I think it's gonna be hectic and crazy, but I think we're gonna be able to do it. And then I can't wait for it to all come together after post and seeing it, and all you guys seeing it and reacting to it. I think you're gonna want to season 3 right away.
That's awesome.
But
Those are great answers. Yeah, I think what I am the most excited to film is also kind of what Jeremy mentioned, which is the finale of the season. I think the kind of the culmination of where the season is going is going to be really rewarding for people to see on screen. It's a lot of fun. It's straight out of the Bible, but with with a little bit more context kind of leading into it. And I think it's going to be really rewarding. It's going to be funny, but then it's also going to be very sweet and emotional. I think the important thing for us is that when we get to the Bible stories where serious things are happening to the characters, we're not trying to change the tone of those events. You know what I mean? Like, we're really trying to just read into and take the stories more or less at the value that they are described in the Bible, right? There are some stories that give room for them to be kind of funny, like Moses holding up his arms and their battle against the Amalekites. I think no matter how you're reading the story, that is kind of just a naturally like, man, the battle is going to be won or lost based off of a guy's arm strength. That's kind of funny. But I think a lot of these stories that are more sincere and meaningful to the characters in them, we're going to treat with that same level of seriousness, sincerity, etc. And I think that kind of reward at the end of the season is going to be very special, very sweet. I really think you're going to like it. In addition, I think everything with the build up to the golden calf moment is going to be a lot of fun. I think the way that we're going to be adapting that story and the way that we're going to set it up, and the fact that Aaron is in charge and Moses is gone and everyone's trying to figure that out and where that all leads to, I think it's going to be extremely fun to watch. It'll hurt at times, but it will also be just very interesting, kind of the way that we're going to put all that together. So that's what I'm the most excited to film. But we have a lot of exciting things that we're going to film this season. I cannot wait to share it all with you. We're going to keep you guys in the loop as we move forward throughout this process. We have 5 more episodes for you very soon, and with every step of the way, we're going to keep you guys engaged and in the loop. So keep interacting with us. Sign up for the mailing list on the website. Follow us on social media if you haven't already, or on YouTube. And come with us as we continue to make the Promised Land come to life.